Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. So this morning I was getting ready for church and just trying to get things situated for the day. And, I woke Gracie up and she just definitely not one that wants to wake up. So I always have a challenge with her. She loves going to church, but, getting her out of bed and getting her ready is a little bit of a challenge. Not a little bit. It's a lot of challenge. So anyway, I just think about all the things that special needs moms have to go through. Now, I'm not saying that only special needs moms go through their kid not wanting to get out of bed. I think that is an every mom thing. Okay. The age that Gracie is, though, she should be getting herself up. But, obviously with her, different challenges that she experiences, there's still a lot of, childlike things in her, and she doesn't really understand, appropriate behavior or just even being responsible for things. So, I'm in constant mom mode with her to try to get her to be able to do the things that she needs to do to, to thrive as a human being, but also just be responsible. Okay. And again, in what I've shared on this channel before, that, special needs moms go through either more extreme situations or seasons longer. So what I'm going through with Gracie is not necessarily more extreme than another parent, but it is longer. It's longer. It's for the lifetime of the child sometimes. And so, our kiddos with Down syndrome can tend to have a very strong personality. They can be very obstinate. They can be the most loving, amazing, forgiving human beings. I would never want to replace her with anyone else. Like, honestly, she is the most beautiful human being I've ever met, but she can also be the most challenging as well. So this morning I was having some issues with her, like I do most mornings, but today we're trying to get ready for church and I got to go shovel the driveway and all that mom stuff that I have to do before I get out of the house. And I was just thinking about the fact that moms, special needs moms, are always in this like battle mode. We're always in this hyper-vigilant, fight, flight, or freeze mode. Okay, so even for me in the very beginning of my journey, I was very defensive because I remember when I had Gracie, there was something that shifted in my spirit the minute I saw her, and I didn't get to see her for almost a whole day. They whisked her away during our birth. We had a C-section, and they whisked her away into the NICU, and we didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know that she had any special needs until, we had her early in the morning, and then it was evening before somebody even told us what was going on. So that's a whole other story in and of itself. But anyway, by the time I actually was able to get up and get into where the NICU where she was at, I remember the first time I saw her, with all the emotions going through. She was hooked up to all these cords and everything. I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew there was something in me that rose up. And I became this protective, like I had to care for her. I had to take care of her, that no one was going to come against her. It was just an innate sense that I had. And I'm sure that all moms feel that about every child. There was just something different about her that I knew that she was going to be facing things in the world that my other kids, I had 4 other kids at the time, were not facing. So there was this protective battle mode that I went into the minute I saw her. And it's been that way her whole life. And so I do believe that God gave us as moms, as women, the ability to be able to fight. And I mean fight in the right way, not fight the way the world fights. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more in just a minute. But this whole like hypervigilance battle, weary mom that I speak to on this channel, we get into these battle modes where we're in this constant fight, flight, or freeze. We're in protection mode of our children. We're very defensive. The minute somebody says anything negative about your child, whether it's online or in person, or somebody gives you a glare, so I've said before, like Gracie, obviously people can look at her and see that she has special needs. And so most people are, for the most part, kind. Okay, there are times that people will stare or say something that is not really appropriate. But the moms who has the child who looks typical like any other child, but they might be having a behavior issue. Maybe they're having a sensory overload. We don't know what's going on. And just because their child looks like everybody else's child doesn't mean that child is not processing the world in a different way. But this is when you get the stares and if that was my child, I would never allow that. And, and the mom is just inside of her. Not only is she probably embarrassed in public, but she's also goes into deep protection mode over her child. So in 1 minute, she's trying to get the child to obey or do whatever it is to help them walk through that sensory issue that they're having. And she's, hyper vigilant and sensitive to everyone around her that might be watching her. Okay, so now she goes into this fight, flight, or freeze, which is where that high cortisol comes in and where the, ultimately that chronic state of that turns into complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I will share more about that in another video as well. But anyway, so you've got this mom that is in this fight, flight, freeze, constant battle state, okay? And this is not what God intended for us when he gave us this child. So a lot of times we look at this like this was something that God just, put on us, and we've got to bite the bullet, and we've just got to accept the fact that this is our life and it's going to be difficult. And, I don't know what I did to deserve this. This is what I went through. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. I did not want to do this. Now, I did not take away my love for Gracie at all. I still loved her the same. I just didn't want to do the job of being a mom of a child that needed so much care. Okay, or especially so much care, knowing that in her adult life or teenage life, whatever, that she was going to need constant care as well. My other kids, I knew that, they're all out of the house now, and we have 4 grandchildren, they're raising their own families, and I knew that at some point they would all grow up and find their own lives and their own purpose and path. But with Gracie, it's uncertain. We don't know, what she'll be able to do or not do. And I fully believe that she'll be functioning in whatever capacity that God has called her to, and it'll be abundant. But in the beginning stages of it, I didn't know what it was going to be like. And so I didn't want that journey. I didn't want the hard season. So it was almost like, okay, I just have to accept this, and this is not what I wanted. And this is what my book is about. When I write about in my book that's will be coming up in the spring of this year. It's called Stand and Fight Like a Girl. And it's really just my journey of a mom that went from being in a place of despair and just depression to the point of even being suicidal to finally embracing what God brought into my life. It was a radical detour of what I thought my life was going to be, but it was the biggest blessing in disguise, I would say, that, went from, as I call my prison, to my promised land, and obviously into my greatest purpose, which is what I'm doing today. And I love it, and I would not change a minute of it. I would change a little bit of the battles with Gracie, for sure. But anyway, going back to what I was saying is that God did not call me to do this. As a matter of fact, he called me to partner with him, to walk side by side with him, to war in the spirit with him against anything that might come up against her or my family, not to fight with the weapons of the world, not to fight with my mouth in a way that is like, don't you dare talk to my child that way. We get defensive and we interject even what we think somebody might be thinking or saying, and it might not even be that. I think most people are just not sure what to say when they see her, especially if she's acting up in a store. They don't know what to say. So I have to understand from their perspective what they're looking at, and not always assume they're looking at me like I'm a bad mom and, or what are you looking at her because and so I had to allow God to help me see it, not only see Gracie through his eyes, but see the world through his eyes within my situation. And he asked me to partner with him, to walk side by side with him, and to enjoy this journey, to parent from a place of victory, not to get to a place of victory. There isn't going to be some day that finally I'm like, I've arrived, yay, now I have victory. No, this is probably going to be challenging for the most part, throughout this journey. But to understand your true identity and who God called you to be, and to be able to take a stand against the schemes of the enemy that try to get you to not understand who you truly are, or what God has called you to in that purpose. That's what this is all about. To take that stand. But how do we do that? We have to wage war in the spirit with the way God expects us to do that, not wage war against the world. The world is not against us. It's Satan that's against us. Okay? And he will use whatever scheme he can, even if it's, the glares of a passing stranger, or somebody that gives me unsolicited parent advice, again, about how I should parent Gracie. Even if it's, the well-meaning members of my family that do that. So I want to read a scripture to you. I'm going to read it in the Amplified. This is how we wage war in the spirit realm, in the kingdom. We are citizens of the kingdom. If you've accepted Christ into your heart, you are a citizen of the kingdom. And the kingdom is different than this physical world that we see. It operates on different laws and different principles. So here is one of those principles. It says in Ephesians 6, starting at 10, be strong in the Lord, draw your strength from him, and be empowered through your union with him. And in the power of his boundless might, put on the full armor of God, for his precepts are like the splendid armor of a heavily armored soldier, so that you may be able to successfully stand up against all the schemes and the strategies and the deceits of the devil, not people, the devil. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, contending only with physical opponents, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly supernatural places. Therefore, put on the complete armor of God, so that you will be able to successfully resist and stand your ground in the evil day or danger, and have done everything to the Christ that the crisis demands, to stand firm in your place, fully prepared, immovable, and victorious. We are already victorious. We are standing from a place of victory. So stand firm and hold your ground, having tightened the wide band of truth, personal integrity, moral courage around your waist, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, an upright heart, a healed heart. Ladies, men, whoever's listening, a healed heart is key to this. You've got to heal up the wounds of your heart in order to be able to do this. Stand having strapped on your feet the gospel of peace, in preparation to face the enemy, that with firm-footed stability and the readiness produced by the good news. Above all, lift up the protective shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. With all prayer and petition, pray with specific requests at all times, on every occasion, in every season, in the Spirit, not in the physical, in the Spirit. And with this in view, stay alert with all perseverance and petition, interceding in prayer for all God's people. So we are interceding for our child in the Spirit. We don't need to fight for them in the natural. We don't need to fight with our words and our attitudes and we don't need to do that. God has prepared us for this assignment. He's called us to it. He's partnered with us. It's an honor that he chose you to do this job, and you are fully equipped to do it. Now, there's probably some healing that has to come along the way, especially if you're in the striving and stressing mode that most special needs moms are in. I was one of those people. And honestly, there are days I'm still one of those people where I feel like it's the heart. I'm focusing on the heart of it instead of the journey of it and what God is doing in me. I am radically different than I was 14 years ago when I first started this journey. I'm not even the same person. I'm the same personality and I look the same and all that. What I'm saying is who I am in the Spirit, who I am inside, the inner man, is completely different than how I walked this journey before. I was always in this state of high cortisol, high stress, hypervigilance, fight, flight, or freeze. And I didn't need to be that way because most people were not even attacking me, or they weren't attacking Gracie. It was what the enemy wanted me to view the lens through that, and I became this defensive person, which affected every area of my life. It affected my marriage. It affected how I parented my other children. It affected my youth ministry that I was working in. It affected my health, our finances, everything. And this is why I spend so much time putting this content together for you so that you understand there is a better way. If you can learn anything from my mistakes, there is a better way, and God wants to partner with you on this journey as being a special needs mom. It is not a curse. It is not a prison. It is a promised land. I promise you, it will bring glorious, glorious transformation in who you are. When you walk with God and you do this the way he intended it to be done, and you take up your armor in the Spirit against the schemes of the enemy, and you walk in your God-given identity, and you know how to take your authority over that, it is such a different journey and a different ride from that place. So I thank you. This went long. I thank you so much if you're still watching and you took the time to get to the end of this. I pray that it blesses you, that it just speaks to your spirit, that God brings the right person across this path. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share this with another mom, so we don't keep this to ourselves. And I just want you to know that the creator of the universe made you for this. He is completely obsessed with you and loves you deeply. And I love you, and I can't wait for us to be together again. So have an awesome day until we're back together again.